Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. So today, I'm going to be covering a new podcast with Aubrey Gordon. And I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. One of my members suggested this, and I'm going into it totally blind. I don't know this person, Matt Bernstein. I don't know this person whatsoever. I'm going to try my best to go into this with an open mind, even though I do know Aubrey. And Aubrey's my arch nemesis. No, I'm just kidding. Aubrey's, oh my gosh. Aubrey is my evil twin. She's like my twin flame. I don't know how else to describe it. She's the one that I have karmic issues with. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. I'm being really gay. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. But I haven't reacted or interacted with any of Aubrey's stuff in a minute. And when I was done with that past podcast, I was like, I need to visit Aubrey. I need to. So we're going to go ahead and get started. This is apparently about Ozempic. So this is already going to be spicy. We got this. Let's go.
Hello, and welcome back to A Bit Fruity. I'm Matt Bernstein, and I am so happy that you're here. This is going to be thorny. This is going to be a thorny one. Is that how I want to start it? Do I want to scare people away? Not really.
We got an Aubrey laugh right away. Right away. And if Eric is watching, sometimes Eric gets me to Aubrey laugh. Sometimes. She's like my Voldemort. She's the Voldemort to my Harry Potter. So sometimes I do laugh like her. But I try to keep it under control.
Ozempic, the word that brings up 1,000,001 feelings from everybody at this point. It means something bigger than itself. It's like the way that Google is to search and Kleenex is to tissue. Ozempic means a whole number of things, and it's weight loss, it's inequality, it's celebrity culture, it's capitalism. Today, I just want to...
I'm going to be honest. I don't feel that much about Ozempic. I know that that's like a wild thing. Apparently not having strong emotions about Ozempic is like really crazy. But I just don't. That's why I don't talk about it all that much. You guys kind of know my stance. I can kind of give a generalized stance right now. It's basically I'm more supportive of Ozempic for diabetes. I do think diabetes can be a complication within weight loss. It can make you hungrier, for example, or more tired, which whenever we're talking about weight loss, your two main physical issues are going to be hunger and tiredness. Those two things are big. Okay, those are your biggest physical obstacles. And again, we're talking physicality. We're not talking mental health issues. That may come up in this discussion. But physically, your two biggest enemies are going to be being tired and being hungry. And when you are diabetic, it makes you more hungry and more tired. So I do support Ozempic for diabetes. I think it is great that it has come out. It's been so helpful to a lot of people. Awesome. As far as using it for weight loss, I don't support it for weight loss if you're not diabetic, in my opinion. That is just my opinion. Obviously, you can do what you want, whatever. Like, you can advocate for it or against it or whatever. Again, I don't have a passionate feeling about it. I would not like cuss you out because you're on it and you don't have diabetes. That's not going to happen. I don't have a passionate feeling. It's just my personal stance. I don't agree with it if you don't have diabetes. That's all I'm going to say. And the biggest reason is because it is not necessary in that case. But I'm sure we'll get into that because I do have some issues with the media narrative, the fat acceptance narrative, all these different narratives around Ozempic, which I'm sure will come up. So let's see.
Jump into the deep end and see how we fare. Quick content warning before we get into today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about, obviously, Ozempic. We're going to be talking about weight loss drugs and body image and diet culture and eating disorders. And if that is something that, for whatever reason, is not safe for you to listen to an hour of content about, totally understand. Take care of yourself. We will see you at the next one. There is nobody who I would rather talk about this with than the one and only Aubrey Gordon, who is here with us.
That's not a good sign for you, Matt. You just lost a point with me. If that's really your thoughts, I'm like, ooh, there's one of two things going on. Either one, you think Aubrey has clout and you're like doing like a clout thing, or two, you're not with the program. That's really the only two ways this could go. So let's see. Let's see.
Us today. I am so excited. Aubrey is an author. She has written 2 books. One is called What We Don't Talk About When We Talk About.
I know you guys want me to do books, and I really should. I might have to. That might be another thing we do next year. I'm getting like inspiration for next year. I've been feeling it. I've been planning. I've been thinking. And we might need to dive into some books. We just might have to.
Fat. And the other is You Just Need to Lose Weight and 19 Other Myths About Fat People. She is very notably to me a podcaster at her show Maintenance Phase, the critically acclaimed Maintenance Phase. Maintenance Phase.
Sorry, I had to let you guys sit with that for a second. The points are just going down with Matt. Like, the more he's talking about this, I'm like,
Is a podcast that if you've never listened to it before, I am jealous of you because you can go and listen to all the episodes for the first time. It's a podcast about, debunking diet culture, wellness.
do you guys think that he's involved in diet culture? Just by the way he looks. I had to go there. I know I'm toxic. I get toxic sometimes. I get it. I'm still scorpionic, okay? I'm still in my Scorpio era. It's still Scorpio season. I'm feeling it. And I'm just looking at him and I'm like, you know damn well he diets and exercises. I'm almost certain. I would say a 98% chance. So what the hell are you doing, Matt? What is this? What is this? What crack are we smoking? Okay, that's my question going into this.
Fads and listening to Maintenance Phase, which I started doing a couple years ago, is really, and I have not told Aubrey this, but it's really like the reason that I wanted to make a podcast.
Oh my God.
I didn't know that a podcast could be so well done. And to me, Maintenance Phase can
Chill out. I'm sorry. What is so well done about it? I've listened to it. Is it the cringy jokes in the beginning? Like, sometimes they are like kind of so bad they make me laugh a little bit. And I get that like people like them as people. I'm not like, well, I don't really like, well, I'm going to be honest. I don't like Aubrey or Mike. I don't like them as people. But I get that a lot of people do. Like, I think that they are somewhat entertaining to listen to for sure. I do think there's entertainment value in the podcast. I don't think they're boring. I would never call Aubrey or Mike boring. I would never call their dynamic boring, right? Like, I can understand why there's popularity in it, but do I think it's like the best well done podcast ever? I really don't. I think that that's such a stretch. I just can't even.
continues to be like the North Star of this medium. I'm so happy that you're here today.
I'm so delighted to be here and to be like lavished with praise. That was incredible.
I will say I do like Ursula. Ursula's there.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I'm like over the moon to be here.
Aubrey, today we are talking about, as I've mentioned, the drug and cultural phenomenon of Ozempic. First and foremost, when I say the word Ozempic, what first comes to mind to you?
Drugs. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe that is what comes to my mind. Or diabetes. That'll probably be the two words that come to my mind.
On this afternoon in June of 2024?
I mean, I would say less than coming to mind, more coming to body is just like full body clench. The thing that comes to mind at this point, I would say a lot of like internet spats come to mind. A lot of
True.
sort of body surveillance comes to mind. There's a lot of speculation about who is and is
It's true. I agree here.
not on Ozempic and whether that is or is not a virtuous way to lose weight. And I
True.
think more than anything else, Ozempic, like any sort of like quote unquote miracle weight loss drug or quote unquote miracle diet or whatever, any sort of weight loss method, just becomes a gigantic screen for all of us to project our assumptions and beliefs and judgments onto. And I feel like that's the moment we're in right now, is everyone's projecting hardcore and we haven't stepped back enough to say, oh, wait a minute. Some of this might be.
I actually agree with her there. I think that there's, within conversations about Ozempic, especially at this time, which was June 2024, right? Like in last year, especially, it was a major conversation. And it still is being hailed today as like, it's ending obesity and it's this and it's that and it's a cure and it's this and it's all the other. I don't agree with that. I really, really don't. I think, again, what part of my recovery and what I suggest to others who are looking to recover from toxic ritualistic behaviors, which is what I call E followed by the letter D, is we try to make things objective. So something like Ozempic should not trigger emotion, or it should be a very mild emotion, not something that's causing full body clenching, like what Aubrey just said, which is not a good sign, Aubrey. It's a bit much. Oh my gosh. By the way, it's hot. I don't know how I'm still sweating in November. It's wild, but it's hot in here. So I know. Southern heat privilege. I don't know what to tell you. I'm nervous about the winter, but it's still warm and I'm going to ride that heat all the way till the end. But anyways, let's continue.
Be my stuff.
We know this is a thorny topic. I emailed Aubrey and I was like, I would like to do an episode about Ozempic and the celebrity Ozempic discourse. And the first thing that she responded to me was, I will do it with you, but you have to know this will get 1,000,001 reactions and you have to be prepared for it. I think that I am. I also think that, I was thinking about how this podcast has come together, and one of the first episodes that I did was about the politics of Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is another person who...
Okay. Do you guys think that in like a past life, or, well, I guess like technically in a past life, I was kind of fat acceptancy, but not really, by proxy because of the toxic ritualistic behavior. But it's like so many people involved in fat acceptance are swifties. And I don't know why, but I feel like I'm literally like the one, I'm not the only swiftie, but that is anti-FA. But I know I'm one of the only super vocal swifties that are against fat acceptance, because it seems like I have seen, and you guys know, I see when I've gone on TikTok, I see it all the time. They're all swifties. That's why I've used Taylor Swift lyrics against fat acceptance activists. I have done it because I'm a swiftie too. I'm behind enemy lines when it comes to that. I can use her words against them, and I have, primarily with like Albatross, Madwoman, so many. I mean, you guys know. I don't know. I wasn't expecting her to be brought up. I'll just put it to you that way. So weird.
Not to compare directly Taylor Swift to Ozempic, but like you mention Taylor Swift and it's just so charged, and people similarly have 1,000,001 opinions. And I was so scared of
It's because she was oversaturated. She was really shoved in everyone's face last year. It's the Travis thing. I know that this is kind of like a lot, but just let me have my cringe nerd moment, okay? Let me have my moment. She was brought up. It's because she was oversaturated. It's called oversaturation. And she was constantly shoved in the faces of people who are not Taylor Swift fans, primarily football fans. And it created a lot of anger towards her, and therefore a lot of defense of her and a lot of rhetoric around her. And it just became this huge thing. Even outside of her politics, it became even personal, more personal. But I also think that Taylor wants to be the center of attention. So, in a way, she's utilized every aspect of her life to be the center of attention, including her politics, including her dating, like her relationships, everything. Her feuds, like with all these different people, like she uses all of it to stay relevant, which it has worked. I mean, let's be real. So I don't know that the comparison to Ozempic makes a lot of sense, because I think with Ozempic, the only thing that I would say it's similar is there was at least a huge media push of both Taylor Swift and Ozempic. That's the only connection between the two. And when you have a huge media push, it pisses people off regardless, and it makes something polarizing because it's at the top of everybody's mind, and it's also annoying. It's very annoying. Like, as somebody who's losing weight online publicly, it is irritating to constantly be asked if I'm using Ozempic, or that people assume that I am. That is annoying. So it's already going to make me have a little bit of a distaste for Ozempic in my mouth when I think about it. However, I have people who are diabetic in my family, and my mom started taking Ozempic, a diabetic dose, and her diabetes is better with it. And my grandma's also diabetic, and she's considering taking Ozempic because metformin isn't working as much and all these different things. So it's like, I'm never going to sit here and bash Ozempic. Like, I'm just not. I don't know if that's what people want from me. I don't know if, people want me to like go hard for Ozempic or to bash Ozempic. What pisses me off mostly is the assumption that everybody's on it, the absolute media push, the overglorification of Ozempic, the lies about Ozempic, and Ozempic being used as a weapon for both sides of the issue of obesity. So people who are anti-FA at times, not always, I won't even say anti-FA, people who really just hate fatness, so to speak, they will literally just be like, get on Ozempic. What are you waiting for? There's a cure for it. Get on it. I don't like that. It's being used as a weapon. The other thing is fat acceptance. They constantly use it as a weapon against the other side. So I don't like weaponizing Ozempic. And that has occurred a lot within the conversation, because I would never want somebody, like, let's say somebody is a fat activist and they are diabetic and they want to, and they're considering using Ozempic. I would never want somebody to feel like, oh, well, I'm using Ozempic, so I'm betraying my cause because these people that are really against it have used it as a weapon against me. Again, I really care about the health first, and I don't like that. I just don't. So I don't like it being used as a weapon, regardless of how it's being used. Because if people have access to it, if people need it, I think it's a good thing. Does that make sense? Okay, let's continue.
Approaching the politics and feminism of Taylor Swift with any sort of like firm point of view, that I just did that episode. It's the one episode that I regret not doing, but doing, in my opinion, kind of a disservice, because it is fascinating. And I think I was so scared of getting any sort of backlash about it that I just, listening back to that episode, I was like,
I have a feeling Aubrey doesn't care about Taylor. Sorry, that's what it was giving.
damn, this was such an interesting topic. And I wish I had the balls at the time to just like say how I felt about it. And
Well, you should. First of all, I always talk about Taylor Swift. I am obsessed with her. I'm a swiftie. But I'm also a critical swiftie. I don't care. I've pissed off swifties so many times. Like, I really, really have. I have pissed off Swifties so many times. Like, Swifties get mad when you don't like a song. It's ridiculous. Like, I mean, really think about the level of discourse. I'm just saying. Like, you're going to piss off a Swiftie because every Swiftie is like really obsessed in their own way and whatever. And it's just like, no. That's why I'm really glad I have my friend Lisa, because she's also a Swiftie, but she's also a critical Swiftie. That's what I call myself. I'm a critical Swiftie. Like, I will say things like, I don't like her dating Travis. I don't. I don't like them together. I don't think they're compatible. I haven't liked it from the beginning. I see the end coming. You know what I mean? Like, I've always, when she finally breaks up with him, I'm going to probably be like, I knew she was going to, I'm going to be all extra about it. But a lot of Swifties, that is like breaking sacrosanct Swiftie religious code to not like Travis or to not like her being with him. I have never liked her being with him. I have said it loudly and proudly. I get it, I'm brat, but it's like, just speak your mind. It's not that serious. It's freaking Taylor Swift. Like, whatever. She's going to do whatever the hell she wants. There are so many things I've criticized about Taylor, but there are so many things I praise about her. It's ridiculous. Sorry, I'm sorry that this is kind of getting derailed, but it's not that big of a deal if you get some Swiftie pushback. I fought with Swifties plenty. I'm just letting you know. I've done it. I told you guys, I do it because a lot of fat acceptance people are literally Swifties. Imagine if I was afraid of offending them. I wouldn't be able to do this. I'm just saying. I wonder what the connection between fat acceptance and Taylor Swift is. Like, any Swifties in my audience, do you guys have an answer for that? Because it's interesting. Other than what I will say, which I guess I do have a guess, is Taylor does have a history with E followed by the letter D, but it's more on the one where you're not eating enough. And so maybe there's certain psychological lines that a lot of people in fat acceptance can relate to. Wow, I think I just answered my own question. Never mind. That might be the connection. I think I just found it.
Added something to the conversation. And so that's what we're going to try to do here.
I'm here for it.
I know you famously don't hold back.
I have been known for saying a lot of things, and sometimes more than I maybe would have been well advised.
Before we enter the messiness of the celebrity discourse, I feel we must establish what is Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, semaglutide. I think everybody knows that these are
I like saying semaglutide. I'm a semaglutide girly pop. And I know that they're like, that's not how it's pronounced. I don't care. I'm American. I pronounce it semaglutide. Okay? Period.
code names for an injection that makes you lose weight. But on like a basic scientific level, can you explain what is going on here?
Ozempic is a brand name. It seems important to start out with sort of like real basics. Ozempic is a brand name for one specific medication that is diagnosed for people with type 2 diabetes. It was designed and first brought to market for people with type 2 to manage their blood sugar. And the sort of findings around that initially were that for folks who had diabetes and sort of high blood sugar that was resistant to other forms of medication and treatment, this one actually really, really, really did the trick for folks. So when folks talk about sort of a miracle drug on the diabetes front, they are not lying. It's a humongous breakthrough in diabetes.
And I agree with her there. See, we have some agreements, Aubrey. They do exist.
Care. The active sort of ingredient in each of these are what are called GLP-1s, glucagon-like peptide 1, just to get real boring on the language real fast.
It's fine. We're going to be talking about the Kardashians soon, but you have to sit tight for the science for 1 minute.
You have to hear me say glucagon. Yeah. So there are a number of these. They're called GLP-1 agonists. Ozempic is one. Wegovy is the version that's sold for weight loss on that one. Rybelsus, Mounjaro, Victoza. There are lots and lots and lots of these. But basically, if you're hearing about an injection for weight loss, it's probably one of these GLP-1 agonists, right? Essentially, what they do is they adjust your hormones. Sorry, let me take that again.
Oh, that's like the grinder notification sound.
Is it really? Essentially,
Oh my Lord. I just died a little with that.
what GLP-1s are doing is they are addressing a hormonal shift for diabetic people, but also for people who are seeking to lose weight now, that essentially prompts your brain to think you are full earlier than it would have prior. It's a big shift in weight loss. That weight loss, I think it's important to note, is a side effect of a treatment that was designed for diabetes. I'm sure we'll get into that. But yeah, that's essentially what they are. And the thing to know is that since Wegovy was introduced for weight loss and these GLP-1s were sort of beginning to be acknowledged as weight loss drugs, they have been pretty consistently in shortage for people who have diabetes. So the rush of people who are excited about weight loss led to selling out of Wegovy and the sort of on-label use versions of the drug. And that started spilling into folks getting prescriptions off-label for Ozempic and for the versions that are approved for diabetic people. It has been a big hullabaloo on a cultural level, on a sort of care provision level, and on a celebrity level. Boy, oh boy, we get this like perfect storm, right? Of sort of.
I agree with what she's saying here. That's why I'm not stopping her, because pretty much all of that, I agree.
Making medications available, the sort of excitement around a new pharmaceutical, and around the dream of becoming eat whatever you want and still stay thin, right? It's like every
Yeah, which that's not true.
80s infomercial all over again.
Right, which this isn't even that. This isn't actually an eat whatever you want and continue to lose weight drug. This is, as you mentioned, this is a drug that makes you less hungry.
And I think the other thing is, this is like a common misconception that persists around Ozempic, is that folks, I think that you can take it, get down to your goal weight, and then stop taking it and stay at that goal weight. Just to be really, really clear, if you would like to sustain weight loss on any of these sort of injectables, that means, according to all the research we've got for pretty much everybody, that means taking them forever. That when you stop taking these drugs, the weight comes back. And I think one of the other things that has been very sort of front and center in this conversation is that they are medications that are not without side effects, right? That for folks who
that too
take these medications, the nausea, the vomiting, the sort of GI side effects can be really significant. That combined with the cost can be real drivers for folks to drop off of these meds.
Okay, so let's just get into the fun stuff. We don't have to
let's do it.
We don't have to stay in science forever. that never did anybody any good.
When do we get to talk about Kardashians?
Exactly. Like we all know why we're here. No, Aubrey, you know I'm kidding.
Listen, I'm here to talk about Khloe Kardashian. I'm not done exercising my feelings about revenge body.
So,
are we really going there? That's my first question. I don't think that fat acceptance will ever get over revenge body. I just have to say that.
The boom of Ozempic has yielded some pretty fucking wild claims, conclusions, advertising, discourse. And so one of the things that I was like, all right, it's podcast time for this topic, is I was scrolling. Fuck me. I was scrolling on Instagram, and you know how sometimes like between Instagram stories you'll get ads? I get this one from, I guess, a gay-oriented men's health clinic here in New York, advertising Ozempic. And are you ready for this?
Probably not, but let's go.
It's the rainbow pride flag in front of a picture of a shirtless torso with this man holding his stomach. Weekly Ozempic shots. Be your leanest for the parade. Half off Ozempic per injection during Pride Month.
Gotta get that parade body.
Okay. I have some thoughts on that. I would be a little bit worried with Ozempic, especially if you're... Okay. I have a huge issue with that for a lot of different reasons. So basically, I don't think that it's a decision that should be made lightly. As I told you guys, I really do support it for diabetes, but other than that, I don't. Not personally, I don't. Um, but I could kind of see somewhat of an argument if somebody was super morbidly obese, very, very big. I could see an argument being made for that person. I could see some kind of a benefit. A cost benefits analysis would yield some benefit. I could understand why somebody would make that decision. I wouldn't judge that decision. I just wouldn't personally do it, and I wouldn't suggest it personally. But in terms of like that, where you're barely not even fat at all, you're probably just going to lose a lot of muscle, because people have this weird conception with Ozempic that it's kind of like you can be barely not even overweight or like just basically average, and you can just take Ozempic and you're just gonna have like a six pack or something. And that's not necessarily the case. Like people, especially when they take it when they're not really big like that, they can look very hollowed out. You lose a lot of protein mass on your body with Ozempic, especially if you don't have a lot of fat on you and you're not diabetic. And people say, oh, well, we exercise and we do this and we do that. I agree. Exercise does help. It has been shown to help. But a lot of people don't exercise. And especially if they're looking at Ozempic as some kind of quick fix to lose a few pounds before going to the parade, you really think that they're the type that's even going to the gym? Or that's even going to consider it? No. No. And I have concerns too with people who use it for weight loss, because a lot of people who do don't go to the gym. And it should be really, really stressed that you have to if you're going to take it, especially for weight loss, because you will lose a lot of muscle. It can make your metabolism a lot slower, and your outcomes of like how your body looks and stuff will be a lot worse than if you were losing weight in a more natural way, or if you were losing weight slower, if you were losing weight with exercise. So I don't think this is very honest or very good to project it in this way. I would really have a huge issue with this ad. It's very quickly, very obviously a money grab.
Per injection during Pride Month.
Gotta get that parade body. You know how in the community we're all talking about everyone's body at the parade?
Yeah, and that's a very predatory ad. It's disgusting. I would consider that ad to be literally disgusting, in my opinion.
Like,
yeah, I'm like, God, can we just can we leave the parade alone? Basically, so yes, there's the Pride discount for Ozempic, which I'm a 25-year-old gay man. I have struggled with my body image and, you know, my relationship to all of these things for as long as I've been an adult, and even before that. And this just felt like the newest and most bizarre iteration of like, you're making me think about something I don't want to think about. Happy Pride Month. $90 injections.
I would absolutely take the like Postmates bottom friendly menu over if we're going for Pride promotions.
If I knew
That was so scarring. Sorry. I have to say, that was really scarring. I remember when that was a thing. I was like, oh my God.
2 years ago, when the Postmates bottom friendly menu came out for Pride, that 2 years later we'd have Pride Ozempic, honey, I would have never complained about the bottoming menu.
Oh my God.
Totally. That's right. That's right. That makes me sad and also feels like predictable. I read an article for the show at one point, really surprisingly sort of fantastic reporting and analysis from Christianity Today. And it was about sort of this tendency in contemporary evangelical spaces to have like bod for God, or like what would Jesus eat, or any of the sort of like workout and diet programs. And the closing of this story was like, does this have anything to do with theology or your religious beliefs? Or is it just a workout that somebody slapped a Jesus sticker on? It really seems like just a workout that somebody slapped a Jesus sticker on. And
I think the only thing biblically would be, gluttony is a sin. That's about it. I don't think the Bible has like a prescription for how your body should look, which is kind of funny. But the Bible does have a lot to say about laziness, I will say. It can be kind of harsh at times. Like, I think it says, like, if you sleep a lot, you're going to be poor. If you overeat, you're going to be poor. Which those are true, I guess, you know. Even if you're not religious, there's some wisdom in those statements. But that's the only things that come to my mind. I don't think there's anything of like, you have to have an amazing body for God. Like, I don't think that exists. But the Bible does say to take care of your body. So again, I think almost any belief system or even lack thereof would acknowledge the importance of taking care of your body, and that laziness is a bad trait and that overeating is a problem again. But that's the only things that I can think of.
I feel that way about sort of like queer promos for Ozempic, where I'm like, yeah, they're trying to sell it everywhere all the time to everyone. So just by the rules of probability, sometimes it will show up with a rainbow flag slapped on it.
I hate that there are enough queer promos for Ozempic that you have a feeling about them.
Yeah, that is kind of a dark statement, isn't it? Oh gosh, yeah, it's been really pushed. I think there's a lot of predatory behavior around Ozempic too, which is, I think that's really bad as well.
If you're gonna advertise Ozempic, just leave the gays out of it, please.
Totally. We didn't ask for this. Actually, sorry, a lot of us did. Whoops.
Oh, god damn it. The meat of the
That's funny. That is true. Oh gosh.
episode, I feel like, as in many issues, especially in America, where we just have this fixation on celebrity because we don't have the royal family, we have the Kardashians. I feel celebrities become these like fictional characters that we project our anxieties and all of our cultural tensions onto. You know, we're talking about Lana Del Rey's body, and we're talking about Oprah's body, and
The Lana Del Rey transformation is wild. But I don't know, because she took, in my opinion, or at least what I saw, is she took a minute. But I think Lana has some issues around food because she goes up and down a lot, and she has a lot throughout her career. So I'm sensing something in the water there. So I kind of worry a little bit. Like when I see that kind of thing, like that's one of those warning signs. Is if you see somebody constantly fluctuating in weight, especially very dramatically, that's not a good sign. That could be the letter B followed by the letter E followed by the letter D. So I am a little sus on Lana, but hopefully it's resolved and she's going to just stay healthier, you know? That's what I hope for.
talking about the
But yeah, the transformation is wild. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that.
Khloe Kardashian's body, instead of talking about our own. And that's just one example, but it's like we talk about the world and how we feel about it through these like little chess pieces in Hollywood. Never has that been more true than with the issue of Ozempic.
I feel really similarly about Ozempic or about any sort of like miracle weight loss, quote unquote, method. Is it just becomes this giant screen for people to project their conflicted feelings onto and their weird misunderstandings about weight loss onto and their judgments about fat people onto and their judgments about thin people onto, right? That it just becomes like Project Fest 2024 is where it feels like we are right now. Between the sort of amount of projecting that happens through weight loss discourse and the amount of projecting that happens through celebrity discourse, it's a real situation we're in. We're in a real little pressure cooker over here.
I think a lot about the 2000s. I mean, that was such a heightened, aggressive time for like celebrity media culture with the advent of like Perez.
Super anti-fat decade, I will just say. Definitely. But I think the 90s might have been even worse. There was some fat acceptance in the 2000s. I know that a lot of times people within this space, they don't acknowledge that. But again, I remember it. there was fat acceptance in the 2000s, especially as they went on. So we start seeing some Delulu stuff like, oh, obesity is genetic, and these kinds of things start coming in around that time. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the 90s were harsher for sure. And I think if you get even before that, it might have been even worse. But a lot of like millennial fat acceptance types, they really fixate on the early 2000s. But like I said, I think it was actually worse earlier than that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
Hilton and the paparazzi and Britney Spears. And like, I think all the time about how like someone like Britney Spears' body or Jessica Simpson's body in the mom jeans was discussed. And we look on that as a culture with so much disdain now. And we're also doing the exact same thing in real time over and over again to like every woman.
It's Renee Zellweger getting hounded for her looks for years and then allegedly getting plastic surgery and now getting hounded for people's belief that she got plastic surgery, right? Like, it is the sort of colossal no-win that like anybody who's not a gender conforming cis dude gets. And honestly, frankly, plenty of gender conforming cis dudes get that garbage too.
Even then, Travis Kelce is getting body shamed. I mean, if Taylor Swift's hot football player, cis white dude.
Sorry, not my type. I'm sorry. I'm trying not to get triggered, but I really don't like him. Okay. I've really tried to like process why I don't like him so much, but there's something there. I don't know what it is about him. I mean, I think I've tried to figure it out, but I just don't know. But it's like, he's whatever to me. I'll just put it to you that way. I know that that's harsh. I'm just going to say that. I don't know. Y'all can fight about it. I know some of you guys agree with me. I know you do. I know you do. I know you do because I talk to plenty of women and they don't think he's all that either. So I know I'm not alone. Okay. Anyways, I'm Scorpio today. I told you. And don't bring up somebody I don't like when I'm in Scorpio mode because I immediately start having a reaction. Okay? I'm going to try to calm it down. We're going to try to bring it down a notch. I don't like Travis. Okay. Just in case it wasn't clear.
Boyfriend is getting body shamed. What does that leave for the rest?
To me, he's personality shamed. I don't like him. He's spiritually shamed. He bothers me. And I will tell you, when he flipped out at the Super Bowl, so many of my friends messaged me about it because they know how I feel about him. And I loved it. Anyways, because he was being weird at the Super Bowl. I'm a little bit too aware of that. I know it's weird. But they were like fighting too. Like I could tell they were fighting because there was this one game that she went to and Taylor looked so pissed at the game and he was like all emo. He's like, and she looked like kind of pissed. And then she's been like singing songs on tour. I just feel like there's trouble in paradise. I do. I feel it. But anyways, I need to stop. This is what happens. Don't bring up people that I like too much. Don't bring up people that I don't like because you're triggering me. You're triggering me, Matt.
Of us, we're going to organize the following conversation into a few different micro case studies with different celebrities and their experiences with people discussing them and Ozempic at great length. I was like doing research for this episode and there's like so many listicles about like everything every celebrity has said about Ozempic. This is not going to be that.
Okay, I think we're going to stop it here. I think we're going to leave it at my rant. I'm sorry, but they're kind of segueing into a different topic. So we will be back for our next part. Sorry Taylor came up so much. I did not plan this at all. But if it's brought up, I have to talk about her. I'm sorry. I tried to keep it like okay. But anyways, we will be back with this. I'm going to look at the time. We're going to be back with this next week. I hope to see you guys then. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. I'll see you next week.